Hi, this is Mr. Gideon, and welcome to AP Macroeconomics online for the summer of 2011. Glad to have you aboard. I hope you have some fun. I plan to as well, and I'll be with you every step of the way, even though we won't be together in the physical world this summer. Now, one of the things that hopefully you realize very quickly is that the look of Blackboard is different, and the way you log in is different. This is something that's not just the case for summer school, but will be the case when everyone returns after summer for the regular school year. The good thing for you is that you'll be completely familiar with this new interface, and you won't skip a beat when the school year starts. When you log in from now on, you need to use your Net Classroom ID and password to get into Blackboard. Once you do, you should see a page like this. And for summer, you want to click down here on this title that says AP Econ Gideon Summer. So go ahead and do that now if you're following along. And you'll see an announcement there that says, I would like you to start by going to the class information folder and reading all of the class syllabus. Don't skip any parts of it, please. And if there is information in there that conflicts at all with what information you may have had before the end of the school year in the form of the course outline, then this new information that's found in the class syllabus overrides and supersedes any of the old information. So the class syllabus really is what you need to go by, and you should probably check back with it on a regular basis to make sure that you're doing things the right way. You're also required and expected to check announcements and even email once a day to make sure that if things change throughout the course of the summer, you're up to date on these things. It is an expectation for the class. Some of the information in the syllabus might even be on your Chapter 1 quiz, so make sure you look at it carefully. Nearly everything you need for this class, though, is going to be in the assignments folder. That's really the place that you're going to be spending most of your time. You're going to be clicking on the assignments folder and using those links in the order that they're presented to do your assignments. Assignments, of course, can be graded or ungraded. The first thing you're going to do with any chapter is read the actual chapter in the textbook. That's not something that's listed in the assignments section, but it's something that's expected, and it's listed in the syllabus once you open it. Also remember that you should be planning regular breaks throughout summer school. There's some very heavy condensed material throughout this summer, and it's very difficult to try to get it all in one huge sitting that might last a couple of hours. So you really want to allot your time, give your brain a chance for breaks, but also time to review the material, and don't be afraid to discuss it, not just with me, but with your classmates in the discussion boards, over and above the assignments that you're expected to do. Also understand that when you're about to start a true quiz or test, not a practice quiz, these are going to be timed, and there's only one shot at doing them. You must complete them the first time you start them, so before you do, make sure you're prepared. Make sure that you understand that even though you have your notes and your text available for quizzes and tests, that they can be a bit of a trap if you're not fully prepared. So be prepared, have a reliable internet connection before you start these assessments. Don't hesitate to post questions in the discussion board, the very first one that you see on that page, or just email me questions if that makes you more comfortable. Do not be emailing me assignments, though. The assignments are going to be submitted through Blackboard, whether they're on the discussion boards or they're going to be submitted as written assignments where you're going to be taking a prompt or a template of some kind, interacting with it, saving it, and then submitting it back to Blackboard. Quizzes and tests are contained within Blackboard. So all the stuff that you submit for points need to be done through Blackboard. Please do not email me those. Only email me questions. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to the class information. And I'm not going to read all of this to you line by line, but when you go in there, you'll see there's only one link. It's the class syllabus. And that's really the first bit of information you need to become really well aware of. You can see my email address listed here. That's the best place to get in touch with me over the summer when you have questions, in addition to the first form on the Blackboard discussion board. And as I just said a minute ago, any information in this syllabus that differs from the course outline that you may have received before the end of the school year supersedes it, overrides it. there's more information here. So if you had the course outline, that was a good warm-up for you. If you didn't, no problem. This is what you need to know for the class. So obviously the class is hosted on Blackboard, and there are 3 goals for this class. One is to introduce the field of macroeconomics to you. If you've taken business economics at Chaminade or even global economic leadership, those are microeconomic in nature. They focus on individual decisions by individual consumers, individual entrepreneurs and business owners. But in this class, after we get through the first couple of chapters that focus on microeconomics, we're going to quickly build and spend most of the semester on macroeconomics, which looks at an entire economy. We're looking at larger trends and issues that are related to unemployment, for instance, inflation, and the like. So you're going to be introduced to that field. There's going to be economic concepts and analytical skills that you're expected to acquire, and you are expected to be preparing for taking the AP exam approximately a year from now in May. Also, like the syllabus says, you should be in the habit, even if you haven't been in the past, of using your Chaminade email address to send me questions so that I can more easily and quickly respond. I can recognize you more quickly. Instructions and guidelines are here for how that works. And there are several facets and tools of the class. You really need to have your Chaminade laptop for this class, not a Mac, for instance, because not all the features of a Mac are going to be compatible with the way we do this class. So that's important. The textbook is Economics by Roger Arnold, 9th edition. There are 18 chapters total that we're going to be covering, and that breaks down nicely to 3 chapters per week. You'll have a cluster of assignments related to each chapter due every couple of days. There are 3 due dates each week. We'll get to that in a minute. We also have something called EBTV, which is short for Eagle Business Television. These are short and hopefully sweet lessons that highlight certain bits of information from the readings, expand perhaps on the readings, and go hand in hand with the class notes, which you'll also find here on Blackboard. We use discussion boards, both for assignments, but also ongoing feedback and a way for you guys to kind of see where everybody else is in the class, perhaps. A way to crystallize the learning if you take it upon yourself to critique each other's work and say what you think about it. We have practice quizzes and written assignments. You can think of those as homework. And then you have actual chapter quizzes and unit tests. You have one final exam that's cumulative in the end of the class, but it's worth the same thing as a unit test. They're all worth 100 points each. Here's a summary of the grading for the class, which breaks down most likely how many discussion board entries you're going to have due by the end of the semester, how many practice quizzes and assignments total, how many quizzes, and then the number of tests. 6, which is 5 unit tests, and 1 final exam, 100 points each. Please take a look at this explanation for classroom behavior. Even though we're not in a physical classroom, I consider us operating in a virtual classroom. You need to be respectful. You need to understand, particularly in the discussion boards, then that once you post something, it's stuck in there. There's no way for you to edit it or get it back. So think carefully before you post something or submit something. I also have some tips here for succeeding in the class. Take a look at these. Learning to read effectively is a very important task, specifically because we're doing everything online. But the advantage that you have is that you can go back and review material, particularly with regards to the videos that are on EBTV, which is a tool that no AP students have had in the past. Whenever you have a due date for something that's due, that takes you right up to 11:59 p.m. on that last day that it's due. Obviously, it wouldn't be wise to be waiting until the last minute to do these things, but just want you to know when the deadline is. You're responsible for reading any of the announcements that get posted over the course of the summer on Blackboard. That's considered an element of our class. And there are 3 days that you'll notice when we get down here to this list that things are due. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays of each week. Late work is not accepted. You can submit something early, but you can't submit something late. whether it's something that's like homework, your written assignments or your practice quizzes, or your graded timed quizzes and tests. It all needs to be done on time, otherwise it will get a 0. Your home base, as I said before, is the assignments folder on Blackboard. Just about everything that you need can be found in that folder. And of course it has subfolders that you're going to be able to find. Here are the due dates that we have for the class. As you see, there's a progression that I'm going to recommend every time you do a chapter. The very first thing you're going to do, even though it's not going to be saying this in the assignments folder every time, is to read the chapter that's the focal point. So you need to read the textbook for chapter 1, which is your first assignment, and then what I recommend you do is to view EBTV, the description that you're going to find in the assignments folder for whatever lectures that are present that are connected to chapter 1, as well as having your chapter 1 notes open. For me, I think the best way to learn this material is after the readings to sit there and have YouTube going with a lesson as well as the notes that the lesson is referring to open simultaneously, and then to own the notes. Make whatever changes you want, either using your stylus or typing, whatever helps you internalize the material best, and make those notes yours while you're watching the video. Of course, because it's on YouTube, you can pause it, you can rewind it, and do it at your own pace. Then once those things are done, the readings, viewing EBTV, and the notes is done, then you progress with the last few steps for that chapter. Do the discussion board entry first, then do the practice quiz, and then when you feel like you really are comfortable and prepared, do the chapter quiz. And that's why it's put in that order. So you can see for chapter 1, this week it's due June 21st, 11:59 p.m. The next cluster of material that's due for you, which is connected to chapter 2, is to read chapter 2 from the text, view EBTV chapter 2 links, as well as the chapter 2 notes. Then do your discussion board entry for chapter 2, respond to the prompt that's in there already, do the chapter 2 practice quiz, and then the chapter 2 actual quiz. On Sunday you'll have chapter 3 due, all the same kinds of information, and then your exam as well. So plan accordingly. If I make changes to this timeline or the things that are due, you'll get that announcement through the announcements part of Blackboard, which is why it's really important to be vigilant about staying up on the announcements. And you can scan through the rest of this on your own time to see when things are due, but you'll see it breaks down to essentially a chapter every couple of days. A cluster of material for one chapter is due on Tuesday, then another chapter due on Thursday, and then a subsequent chapter due by Sunday. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. When we get to the end of the semester here, as you look at the timeline, it's going to be pretty compressed. Understand that if you look at these dates on a calendar, you'll see you've got a couple of chapters kind of crammed in near the end, and that's just the nature of the beast with the time that we have allotted. And an exam, a unit exam that is, followed by a final exam the following day. So don't let that creep up on you. Alright, so let's go ahead and close this and finish up. I'll show you what I've been talking about regarding the assignments folder. If you go into assignments, there's one link here that goes to EBTV, which is just a playlist of videos that I've begun to upload on YouTube, and you take them in the order that they're assigned, but you'll also see links within the folders themselves. Starting with Unit 1, which is 3 chapters long, you start with Chapter 1. After you've done the Chapter 1 text reading, you go ahead and read the notes, as well as watch the videos on Tinstaff and solving scarcity. So these are 2 different lessons, each I think about 15 minutes. Then you do your forum entry under discussion boards, and then your practice quiz for Chapter 1, as well as your actual quiz. You get to Chapter 2, and when all the information's in there, you go in the same order. Read the Chapter 2 textbook, read Chapter 2 from the textbook, do the notes, and watch EBT at the same time. In the case of this chapter, you've also got 2 lessons. One of them is titled Production, the other one's titled Trade on YouTube. Then you do the forum, and then the practice quiz and the quiz once it appears. In the case of Chapter 3, you can see that there are more lectures on EBTV on YouTube when it comes to Chapter 3. You've got what is demand, how does demand change, what is supply, how does supply change, making a market, and then predicting changes. That's 6 different videos that you would have to watch. So this title reminds you of which lessons are pertinent for that chapter. When it's time to do your discussion board entries, you can see that after the first topic, which just has to do with any general questions you might have regarding the class, you'll have one or more prompts for each of the chapters that we cover throughout the semester. So for Chapter 1, what does economics study? What does the acronym TINSTOF remind us about life? Give an example. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and so forth. So I hope this has been of use to you. I'm really glad once again that you're a part of our summer school class, and please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions.